We all love a good story because, in a sense, any story is about ourselves. And a good story is good precisely because it rings true of human life. For instance, when you take the story in the Gospel of John about the woman at the well, I would say that each of us has a story like hers. Of course, we don't have 5 husbands. That's a small detail. Intriguing perhaps, but insignificant. Her story is our story because her story is the drama of faith in a capsule. How each of us has come to believe, what it all means to us, and where our faith is taking us. As always in the drama of faith, it is not us, but it is the Lord who takes the first step. And He takes the first step not because we are who we are, but because He is who He is. A God whose very name is love. He takes the first step because, as Jesus declared to His disciples at the Last Supper, apart from Him, you can do nothing. Today, I want to share with you a story in which Mary, our Mother of Perpetual Help, and this shrine here at Mission Church play a significant role. On Sunday, November 23rd, 2008, on the feast of Christ the King, a baby boy was born in Bay State Medical Center in Springfield, Massachusetts. He was the firstborn son of Christopher and Debbie Sanchez. He was only 23 weeks old, and he weighed 1 pound 10 ounces, which is approximately the same weight as the tape dispenser on my desk. Christopher and Debbie named their newborn son Christian Ryan Adam Sanchez. 5 days after his birth on November 28th, Christian's life became critical. He had a hole in his trachea and had to be rushed to the Children's Hospital here in Boston to undergo life-saving surgery. A nurse at the Bay State Medical Center in Springfield, sensing the imminent danger Christian's life was in, baptized him just before he departed for Boston. His father accompanied his son to Boston while his mother remained in the Bay State Medical Center, being too ill to travel. When the father and the son arrived in Boston, a medical team immediately worked to stabilize Christian. The only surgeon who could do the type of surgery that Christian required happened to be on call that very evening. Before he went into the operating room, he told the father, "We've seen this type of injury before, and we don't know if we can save your son." The father had one request. He asked that a first-class relic of Padre Pio, which friends had brought from Connecticut that very evening, be placed near the child. The surgeon agreed. During the long surgery, the father sat outside the operating room in a spot where he could see and hear everything that was going on. Never leaving that spot the entire time, he waited in anticipation, holding his son's small fleece blanket and 2 stuffed toys, a black and white stuffed cow and a giraffe, his first baby gifts. Debbie, his mother, arrived during the surgery but couldn't stay long, being so weak from traveling and still sick. 5 hours later, the doctor came out of the operating room and simply gave the anxious father 2 thumbs up. However, the fight for his life was just beginning. 4 days later, Christian had to undergo another surgery in order to close a duct in his heart. It was a precarious situation because he was still in a critical healing stage from the first surgery, and to move him at all would be putting his life at risk. His father's only response was to pray. He went down to the hospital chapel, which is non-denominational, and he could find nothing to pray to, no crucifix, no statue, no image. He began to look around for something to lead him into God's presence. Looking on a bookshelf holding several spiritual reading books and different Bibles, he found a wooden hinged plaque standing amidst the books. He took it out and he opened it, and to his relief, it was a picture of Mary. He placed this plaque on the altar and prayed in earnest for his son Christian. The surgery was successful. Christopher and Debbie breathed another deep sigh of gratitude. 24 hours after the second surgery, Christian would undergo a third one, this time to repair a perforation in his intestine. So by the time this little boy was 10 days old, he had undergone 3 major surgeries, all critical and all potentially life-threatening. On Christmas Day, almost a month after they had arrived at the Children's Hospital in Boston, Christopher and Debbie Sanchez had this deep desire to go to Mass. They inquired about a church that they could attend, and a nurse gave them a brochure about our basilica here on Mission Hill, Our Lady of Perpetual Help. In looking through the brochure, Christopher, the father, recognized immediately the image. It was the very image that he had prayed to that night in the chapel. They suddenly felt drawn to come to the shrine. And it was on that day, Christmas Day, after the Mass, that I met Christopher and Debbie Sanchez, and they asked me to pray for their son. I gave them a blessing and encouraged them to pay a visit to the icon of our Mother Perpetual Help, which they did, and then they returned to the hospital. That very evening, the breathing tube feeding oxygen to Christian's lung fell out, and he began to struggle for air. When they tried to insert it back in, it wouldn't go down. As they looked more closely, they discovered a large mass of mucus blocking his air passage. They siphoned out the mucus and were successfully able to reinstall his breathing tube. However, in Christopher's own words, the father, had this not happened, then they would have not discovered this mucus mass, which could have had mortal consequences for the child. The parents believed that their going to the basilica and visiting Our Lady's shrine that day was so instrumental in saving his life. And since that moment, Christian's condition began to steadily improve. On December 30th, Christopher and Deborah held their baby boy, Christian Ryan Adam Sanchez, for the first time. In January, they began attending the novena here every Wednesday until February 2nd, when Christian was released from the Children's Hospital and returned to the Bay State Medical Center in Springfield, Massachusetts, until March, when he finally went home to live with his family. On April 26th, Christian returned to Boston for one final operation. It was during that time we interviewed his parents, Christopher and Deborah, with Christian. So following this talk, we are going to show you that interview so that you can appreciate the little miracle that has taken place here at the Shrine of Our Lady of Perpetual Help.